And when they are looking for the slide, let me introduce the panel. From the left to the right, please introduce your name and then tell your background, and we go around. And then we can show the first slide, le premier slide.
Okay, I'm Michaël van de Viever from Pack. I'm a converter of flexible packaging in Belgium, printing, laminating and making bags for primary contact with food for the food industry.
Thank you.
I'm Kurt DEMEY from Pack for Food, a consortium of food companies, packaging companies, printing companies, retailers, chemical companies, every company that has to do with food packaging. We bring those companies together with universities, and together we do collective research projects and provide trainings.
I'm Hans Ruprecht from Sollas company.
Close to the mouth.
From Hans Ruprecht from Sollas company. It's a Dutch company, specialized manufacturer of overwrapping machines used in the cosmetic, perfume industry and other industries. I'm the general manager of our French outlet. That's it.
Ça suffit. That's okay for the moment. Then we go to the right for my side, to the left for you. Push the button on the top. Yeah.
It works? It
Yes.
works. Perfect. Alain TASMA from HK Plastics, RD Plastics. Container producer, packaging container producer in Europe. The number 4 in Europe, the number 1 in Holland. It's not that complicated. I teach university as a host professor in gas colleges, and well, very fair of helping students to come to a higher level on education if it comes to packaging in general.
Good afternoon, my name is Gidi. I'm general manager for Rajapack in the Netherlands, and Rajapack is a member of the Raja group, number 1 in Europe for packaging, but not only food packaging, but general packaging materials.
Okay, so that was the introduction. So we see already some questions on the first slide. Maybe for you, Hans. When did you take your last packaging lesson?
Continuously.
Yeah. And did you have? And what is your vision from a professional point of view on training? Do you do regular training, or how would you say that you would answer that question on the professionals? Keep it good to the mouth. Eh?
Yes. The training should be done first of all within the manufacturer on a continuous base. We are developing our machines. The first machines we had were mechanical machines. Nowadays we are having full servo machines, which is a completely different field of experience, of knowledge, and that really needs a lot of internal education.
Do you also train your customers?
Yes. This is the other side of training. We need to maintain the training within our company, but also towards our customers, because they find themselves with the same situation. In the past, they worked with mechanical machines. Now there's more and more PLC-operated machines, servo-driven machines, which represents a completely different technology.
So that's already for us as a takeaway, for all of you as professionals. Of course, suppliers or people who invent things also have a tendency to try to train you then. But Hans, we will be back to that topic in the next 10 minutes, because is that then really objective training or machine-oriented training? But, okay. So, now for all of you and all of us, just as an insight, 2 minutes on what we do here and why we are so happy that all of you are here. If I push this button, it just works. So, this is the reason why we are here. So, I'm from an association. Kurt DEMEY is from an association, Pack for Food. We have company members, companies interested in it, and also there are professional associations. And as you can see, we are really involved in education. Now, for instance, the way we do it at NVC, since 1 or 2 years, we do it as an option online that you can just study in the company or at home or even in the pub or in the bar or on the Tour d'Eiffel. Yeah? But you have live trainer sessions, yeah? And you can share all the information, and in between you can do question and answer. It's full interactive. The same for Pack for Food. You can do a lot of training when you are at your job. Yeah? So these are the panel members. They are from all over the area. They introduce themselves. And now for the next 15 minutes, we would like to discuss it in a way that we say 2 theses, yeah? And that let's share the opinion about whether this is true or not. Yeah? So no opinion at this moment, not from my side, but just a nice thesis. And the first question then goes to the man who grabs the microphone.
Yes, thank you.
Which thesis are you going to comment upon? The first? Would you like to do on the first?
Yes, sure.
Cool.
Let's say I will speak out of my experience in Belgium. I have to make a difference between operators, labor force, and higher educated people. In Belgium, we have a small number of printing schools. As converter, we print. Those schools are only educated in offset printing, not in flexo and helio and other types of printing, because the teachers, they only know offset. So I tell those managers, directors of those schools, you are educating future unemployment, people who will be unemployed
in the technologies of the past.
Yes. We help them, or we try to help them, by telling them we'll come with specialists out of each particular item. And even that is not sufficient. They say, bring me a machine, a printing machine, and then maybe we will teach in flexo or helio.
Can I add to that? Could I add to that with a question to Gidi? Because Gidi is in e-commerce, for instance. Rajapack is very big in e-commerce packaging, which is something which didn't exist 10 years ago. How do you look and comment on that question, on the learning about the past and learning about the needs for the future?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think it's important to make a distinction between the education of your employees. They need to be constantly reminded of the capabilities of the machines, of the products, the specification, the changing environment of which our customers work in. But on the other hand, we also have our customers. They change. Their technology changes, their needs change. And Rajapack in the Benelux has 40,000 customers. If we do not touch the database for 6 months, 20% of the database is correct. The rest is wrong. So we have an obligation also to visit the customers and educate the people, the operators, as Michaël calls them, that actually use the packaging for what it is meant for. And that's very difficult because with a labor force, you have so many changes. You have new management, you have people going to different jobs, different responsibilities. And I think the match between the company that can tell you what the product is and what the product does and how to use it in order to avoid damages or risks, and the people using it, the match between those two is very important.
But Gidi, you say also something other very important then, because you say 40,000 customers, okay?
Yeah.
How many people work at Rajapack?
In the Benelux, it's about 160.
So let's say 200. So every individual has, on average, 2,000 customers.
Well, luckily not every packaging need is a complex need.
Yeah.
A lot of things can just be packed in efficiently without too many costs.
Yeah.
Somebody who has to send 5 bottles of gin to another city in the Netherlands can pay €1 or €1.10 or €1.20 for their packaging needs. It's not going to make a big difference. But it's the bigger companies, the companies that have the volumes and the risks of having their products broken or too expensively packaged in this sense, that need to be educated.
Now,
and the education can also be too much choice. That's also a difficult issue, because you can give somebody 20 boxes to choose from to wrap an item, and they can spend 20 minutes choosing the right box, or pack it in the box, take it out again because the box is too big, take another one. So that's also part of education, apart from the specification of the packaging itself.
But you are not implying that only the big companies need education because they are making the mistakes.
The small ones, they need easy advice, easy fixes, solutions that suit their needs. And the bigger companies, the one doesn't have to be a big company, it has to be a company with a lot of volume in shipments.
Yeah.
They need the advice of a specialist.
Cool.
And they need to have the education from somebody who has been educated before.
Cool. Yes. And Alain, could you comment on that as well? Because you said so, oh, we are the biggest, so.
Education is a thing along the line. It's on operation level, it's on purchase level, and what we see in general is that it's a nice phrase that's called customer intimacy. And this customer intimacy means that we need to know what goes on. And in the past we were sales force driven, and what we see now that this is changing by education. We need to be more educated to be able to help, because it's a profession, it's not a hobby. This is business, improving life. I even heard the guy from Kenya telling it's improving life, so it's getting more and more important. So knowledge is getting more important as well. And if we look at these phrases, customer intimacy, there is a need to know what goes on. And that can only be done by education.
Cool.
Can I pick in on that?
I would just wanted to give
Of
you
course.
the word. And if you take the word, please also include then whether you have a supplier or company-based training or a sort of an independent training like Pack for Food is doing so excellently.
Okay, well, I wanted to pick in on what you said, because I think there we have one of the strong points of education to professionals, and then I'm not talking about the operator level, but the higher level ones, is that you cannot give a one-to-one teaching in packaging, which is very broad, which uses a lot of different sectors, chemicals, material engineering. You have to know your food product. As a packaging producer, you cannot just sell boxes. You sell a functionality to whoever you're selling to. We're involving in food packaging, so you have to know your food produce. You also have to know, or your suppliers need to know, where you're going to, what package you're going to make for the end use. It's a very hot term, the circular economy, but this is just, you have to know what you're getting and where it's going through. It's not sufficient to have education at your...
And which implications that may have.
Correct. So therefore, I think the strongest learning opportunities are when you put the chemical company, the packaging producer, the converter, the food producers together, and they learn from each other. And I think that is what you call customer intimacy, but it's not only your customer, it's also your supplier. So it's
a supply chain. It's a complete supply chain.
Correct.
Yeah, but I want to assist Kurt now a little bit more, assist in volleyball terms, you know. because Alain is talking about one customer. Gidi is talking about my customer. Hans, of course, has a one-to-one relationship. But Packed for Food, of course, is in favor of having a whole group of companies together who don't have a really customer-supply relationship per se. Do you think that's advantageous?
But often these customer-supplier relationships stem forth of a training. But indeed, the packaging producer comes to the training and learns something about the food. Yeah? The food producer who is sitting next to him. And they have questions, say, okay, we can do this, but how about retail? What does retail want? But the retailer is also in the room. And there progress is made, or at least links are made to make progress.
And sticking to that, Hans, when your customer has completed the training, nice new Sollas machine, do they get a diploma or a certificate or a proof that they actually have learned something? That they didn't just sleep, you know?
No, they don't get really a certificate. We are having, since we are having our own sales unit in France, we are very fortunate because in France there's a subsidized program from the government where every individual employer has the right to education. This is subsidized, and in those events we supply also at the end of the education a certificate that he has participated successfully. But it is most important for the customers that we provide a structured program for his operators. Or there can be different levels. The operator level, the maintenance level, the electrical and PLC level, and we can fill all these elements.
So you have prescriptive qualifications, and you try to make up that they really understand what they should be qualified for.
We also prescribe that if you do this training, then the number of participants should be limited to max 4 people, because otherwise the education on the machine is not sufficient. It's not efficient.
Yeah, yeah. So as we have only 30 minutes, we are nearly ending it, but it is a nice conclusion of the debate for now, that we started. There is a need for knowledge, but not yesterday's knowledge. Yeah, but maybe for history, but not for packaging. Then we said, okay, in the new technology, we have the customers and we have the suppliers as an industry who have their methods of moving forward for the better or the worse. Yeah. Then it was to Pack for Food and also NVC and also in education institutes to remind, oh, guys and girls. But it's also important to have a sort of an objective standard, and that you have groups together which goes deeper and more with more wisdom of knowledge transfer than only a one-to-one relationship. And I think Hans then topped it by saying, okay, and then we have to address the issue of, did you really learn something? Did you really make it to a learning result? And that's a sort of an open book issue, because that's really the big holy grail of knowledge. Now, having said that, every year, together with Pack for Food and different institutes, we do an annual conference on the future of business education in packaging. And indeed, I see all the people there, the 3 girls on that roof, and those 3 girls there, and those boys, and those there. I all can see you writing it down in your agenda. That's the 20th of April 2017 in the wonderful town of Düsseldorf. Paris is a city, Düsseldorf is a town. Yeah? And there we will go full in depth on the ins and outs of those topics that we have been discussing here very shortly with this very excellent panel. Having said that, I would like to thank you very much, exactly on time, and we make space for the next grand débat. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Vive la France.
Thank you very much, and long live France. Vive la France.